If you've ever been playing Survivor and gotten stomped by the demon, or let's say you've been playing Demon and the survivors walked all over you the entire game, I'm going to teach you why that happened and how to counter it. For the most part, some of these things are actually really hard to counter, so good luck. First things first is we're going to talk about Dark One scouting. Something you really should know as a survivor that'll completely amplify your end game is realizing that the Dark Ones only spawn in about 4 locations on each of these maps. In this one, they spawn around Fishing Village. They spawn around this little area in between Terminal Station and Derelict Doll Factory. They spawn in the river on Bluff Road Bridge, and they spawn in the sewage treatment plant. Something I've noticed, they kind of tend to like the water. So, let's go find them. By the way, pro tip, when you're looking for the Dark Ones, there's going to be a little area when you're driving down this chunk of Misery Manor where you want to turn hard left. There it is. Trust me, people miss that turn all the time. And then, sure enough, here they are, right next to the fishing village. Ta-da! Now, to be clear, with how they spawn around the fishing village. So they can be like in here, all the way to down here. They can spawn like a little over here with this gap in between the factory. They can spawn right next to the bridge or a little bit farther down. They can spawn a little bit around the sewage treatment plant. So, those 4 areas are the spots that you will always find the Dark Ones. So, why does this matter? Let me show you. By the way, it looks like when you're playing with Kelly, you don't actually have to be doing melee combat. That's why Kelly's so busted. You see how it keeps regenerating? It's just because I'm near something that wants to melee me. And then, yeah, let's see how much damage I do here when I have this pistol. It's a 55 damage, right? But I just did 206? Yeah. And I wasn't even on the last bullet. That's exactly what's going on with Kelly. Oh, boy. Heck, I'm not even in combat anymore. It's just always on. Weird. So now that we have our blue objectives up, what do you do with this information? What you should be doing, knowing where these Dark Ones could spawn and then finding out where they actually did spawn, which was down here, you should go ahead and do the farther away blue objective. I know a lot of people really like to do split pushes. I don't know why people like to do that, but it actually sets you up in a worse scenario at the end of the game. So what you should do in this scenario is do the most north blue objective. And then after you complete that objective, move towards the closer blue objective, which in this case is the dagger. Reason being is very simple. You just have a shorter distance to get to the Dark Ones. Now, why does that matter? Something I love to do in my matches, both in solo queue and in a full squad, is when you are completing the closer objective, and let's say it's about, I don't know, 75% done, depending on how far away you are, I like to leave. Everybody else can sit there and fight, I leave. Or 2 people leave. And then what you do is right as that objective's getting completed, what should happen is you should be on top of the Dark Ones. You just time it really, really well. And then something to keep in mind is, since the demon gets booped towards who the heck knows where on the map, they have to deal with the fact that you are already, immediately, as soon as that blue objective is done, you're attacking the Dark Ones. Because really what the demon's trying to do is stall and make it so you can't attack these guys over here. But what's the demon to do if you're already on top of them? Since you can find the Dark Ones right away, you should. Go ahead, make it something you do during the middle of your match while you're going through looting. And by the way, a way to go ahead and dodge all these shots is do one of these, right? If you do a short little strafe like this, the Dark Ones are like, where's she going? I can't find her. Oh my god, she's just so nimble and quick. Oh, frickin' Kelly and her infinite dodging. I can't stand when they dodge all the time. Look at them. They don't know what to do. And one really nice effect of going ahead and leaving your team to go ahead and pounce on the Dark Ones right away is it gives your team time to recover. Because let's say you are really having a rough match, right? And the demon's been beating on you. If you make it to the Dark Ones right away and you start attacking them, the demon has to make a choice. The demon's either going to go after you attacking the Dark Ones, or it's going to go after your 3-stack on the other side of the map. Which one do you think the demon's going to pick? It's going to pick the person who's by themselves attacking the Dark Ones. So then the other 3 people on your map have way more time to go ahead and resupply, reloot, and have no pressure on them. And then same thing on the big map. There's 4, I'd say 4.5 locations on the big map as to where the Dark Ones can spawn. One of which we're actually right next to is this little lake. Very easy to remember this one. They spawn right in the middle of it. Another area they can spawn is around this area on Railway Loop, the west-hand side of Railway Loop. They can spawn around Dead End. They really love spawning in Dead End. And then this is where I say 4.5, because they can kind of spawn in this general area down here. Typically, a really easy way to tell if you're kind of looking in the right area is they like to sit in the corn on this map. They love corn or wheat or whatever the heck is growing down there. So go ahead and just take a peek for that, and then you'll find them almost every single time. Here, I'll even go look for them real quick to prove it to you. And sure enough, here they are. So yeah, they can spawn like right around in this area, like I said, this whole little circle, and they can spawn on this lake, they can spawn this area on Railway Loop, and they can spawn around Dead End as well. If there is an additional location, please let me know, but I've never had them spawn anywhere else. Now, I might be a little dramatic here, and I apologize, but I feel like I really got to get this point across when it comes to dealing with early basic unit possessions. The best way to deal with these guys is stop fighting them all the time. Just because it's there doesn't mean you need to kill it. Please just stop fighting. What you do to counter these is just go anywhere else. Also, if you have to fight, that is when you stick together. So really good times to fight are when the blue objectives are on the map and you all have to stick together, because then you can't really avoid them. But in this scenario here, especially since I'm in a one-on-one, you need to learn how to be a little more shifty and then not constantly be fighting. Just get away from people that are gonna try to kill you. So do stuff like this. You see how he can't attack me here? Yeah, ha, 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 you're the one laughing, but right, I'm the one that's not dying. So let's say you're in Lucky Valley Lodge. Oh God, what do I do? Now, you could go ahead and try to fight him, and some characters are better equipped for it than others, but in this case, man, just leave, dodge. Something to know about these railings is these dudes can't climb over them. So they could sit there and look at you and go, well, what do I do next? And then you can just sit there and waste the demon's time forever. So all the demon can really do is walk around until he tries to catch you, but if you can just keep vaulting back and forth, there's nothing he can do. So in this case here, you can just be like, okay, bye, and then he tries to catch you, well, you just go right back in here, and then you know what, go through the window, and the demon has so much crap they have to go through to try to get to you. Just go ahead and loop the dang thing, man. It can't catch you, and if it does, it's gonna hit you like once. The scariest scenario that I can think of as a demon player would be if you had 4 players that all knew to bring a car with them wherever they go. They should all have their own car, and then they just stay next to railings like this that I can't really do anything about. Because what this allows them to do is just buy time by vaulting, wrap around the other side of the car, get in, and then I can't catch them. And if all 4 people are doing this and they're split up across the map, there is nothing the demon can do. They have to waste way too much time trying to just get one person, and then the other 3 are free to loot. And then let's say demon decides, well, this person's too tough, I gotta go after another one. Well, then this person, aka me right now, could be like, the demon left, watch out, here he comes. They can listen, get into their car, or get to an area where they can vault, and then the demon is literally powerless. We do this all the time on stream. I call it the starvation strat, because you're starving the demon of the ability to level up. Because the way the demon levels up is they fight. They take you down, they cause damage, they make you run into traps. If they can never do anything to you, they can't level up, they can't win. And you're getting a bunch of resources for your survivors. And I've said this before, if survivors have resources, they're always gonna win. The way you beat them as a demon is you starve them of what they have. And let's say I'm being chased by a deadite over here. You know what you do? You get over here and then just get into the car, because he might try to puke on you. Well, he can't puke over the car for some reason, so then you're just in and you leave. And then let's say your car is getting a little beat up. You know what you should be doing when you're sitting here playing Survivor is look for another car. And then sometimes you can do is just stand in between 2 cars. What you gonna do, demon? Are you gonna take this car? Well, then I'll get into this car. You're gonna take this car? Well, then I'll go grab this car. Really not a whole lot he can do, because if he takes the other car, you just get in and then you leave. So you should be looking for cars to chain as well. So keep an eye on your mini-map in the top left-hand corner and keep an eye out for those icons. And then, again, the demon is so powerless against this. There's almost nothing they can do. This is the hardest thing to deal with as a demon. And to add a layer of clarification here, what you need to be doing is just avoiding fights when you can. Now, don't get me wrong, there might be scenarios where you get really stuck in a fight early game, in which case I would advise investing in something like balance bar damage on your warriors, or finding a sledgehammer, or really just doing anything where you can clobber the dang thing. Heavy attacks are your best friend when trying to stumble something. But again, stick together as a group, but you need to keep moving. I swear, so many times when I play solo queue, it reminds me of like trying to walk a cat. Or like you're just like dragging the dang cat because it doesn't want to go anywhere. That's what it feels like. Like you need to keep moving and stay away from these fights. But if you do have to fight, then you work together and stick together as a group. But space out and avoid problems rather than confront everything. Another technique here is called F-chaining. And what F-chaining is constantly doing finisher moves to buy yourself more times of invincibility. Because anytime you're in that finisher animation, you can't take damage from anything. Not a boss, not a possessed unit, not an AI unit, nothing. Nothing can hit you. So what you should do is get yourself a nice high stumble weapon. In this case, I have the bat, but the sledgehammer is best for it. And then you go and take a look at this portal here. And I'm just gonna F-chain. So 2 people here, oh no. Well, now I can just go ahead and do this, and the other guy can't hit me. Just like that. And now I can go ahead and do this, and then just keep doing that. And if you have I don't know, like 30 units around you. This buys you so much time. Look at that. I can just go ahead and keep doing finishers. Nothing can touch you during those animations. So you do a finisher, and then you dodge, and then smack something else, and then go ahead and keep F-chaining. The reason why Sledgehammer is best is because when demons start getting balance bar resistance, the Sledgehammer still does enough balance bar damage to go ahead and one-tap them. Because if you have to 1, 2, 3, that's too much time of you being vulnerable. So a Sledgehammer is going to make it so you don't got to worry at all. Ta-da! Bum, bum. So as a demon, you might be wondering, well, how the heck do I counter F-chaining? They're invincible. They are invincible during the F, and then they go ahead and dodge, and I can't touch them while they're dodging. What do I even do? A really easy way to counter this, assuming you have this already leveled up, is to play Warlord. Specifically Warlord level 45, because at level 45, the Warlord gets really bad influence 3, and what this does is it makes it so that units can't suffer balance bar damage. So that means that once you possess your basic unit and you press Q, all the other ones around you aren't going to be able to get stumbled, so they can't sit there and do a bunch of finishers on them. So this gives you a lot of open window to go and just pour damage into the survivors. Something to know though, and I think there's some confusion here, really bad influence 3 does not affect the unit you are possessing. So your unit that you're controlling can still be stumbled. All this crap that bad influence does not apply to the possession. Now let's get some good news for the demons here. Something you can do as a demon is find the survivors almost right away every single time you play. I call it spawn theory. I have a whole video about it already, so I really encourage you to watch that. But what you can do is take this point, and this point, and then guess where the survivors are going to be. So with this knowledge, I guarantee you that if I just take a straight path down here, I'm going to run into them. So let's just go ahead and do that. And again, reason why this matters so much is if you can put immediate pressure on the survivors, they don't have time to loot. And again, it's always about a resource game. They don't have time to loot. They don't have time to get really good weapons. They don't have time to find a really good chest. They might not even have time to get to a car. By the time you find them, especially on this small map, there's a good chance that they haven't found anything yet. And I'm only trying to find one character right now. Let's say I went ahead and I had 4 people on the map. They tend to split up a little bit, and then super easy peasy, you can find one of them running around. Now I have to sit here and be a little bit more precise, right? Because it's only Annie. But if I keep running this line right here, we're going to run into her eventually. So let me see here. Bump, bump, bump. She's probably down in terminal, if I were to take a guess here. But she could be anywhere through this line that I'm running through. And then sure enough, there she is, right by terminal. Just like that. So link will be in the description for that video if you want a lot more explanation, because I talk about the big map and the small map, but I did want to cover it a little bit in this video because this is by far the most powerful thing that demons are using right now against survivors. Survivors don't know what to do about it because you can find people in like a minute. I sat there and I monologued for a little bit. You can find people within a minute to 30 seconds a lot of the time. So go ahead, check it out. And now this isn't really something I planned on covering, but I definitely want to talk about it now that I saw it. It's Hash's ability here called the Exorcist. It's that ability when you press Q and it pops the demon out of a possession. You really need to understand that this does not work against elite units. All it does against an elite unit is reduce the amount of infernal energy the demon has, which means nothing when they're defending an objective because their infernal energy recovers so well. So almost every single demon player has run into the scenario where you have a survivor who's just really good at dodging. Like no matter what you do, they're always just on top of you. And they'll dodge away from you, they'll dodge through you to get to the other side of you, which is something you should be doing as a survivor, by the way, is consider dodging through them. But what do you do when you are the demon player and you have a Kelly that just you can't hit her no matter what you do? Well, you have a couple of tricks up your sleeve. The most obvious one that people talk about all the time is you just use your puke. If you have a warlord that has the anti-sprint and the anti-dodge equipped. But something that you could utilize on other demons is this strategy I like where I run at the survivor, but I don't hit him. Because a lot of times what'll happen is, let's say I'm running full hog at a survivor, right? They'll dodge right around the area that they think you're going to try to hit them, right? But if you just go ahead and you run right through that, they'll dodge and then you can hit them after their dodge. So I'll try to showcase it here, but I only have 2 hands and I have a controller, a mouse, and a keyboard. But basically what you'd be doing is you would charge at her and then she'd dodge, but you just keep running through it, and then that's when you have your opportunity to swing. They'll dodge preemptively thinking that you're too close because they get used to the cadence of a light attack. So you just run right through them and then you'll be able to start smacking them. But then again, that's when a good survivor is going to like go right through you this way rather than sitting there constantly trying to backpedal. Another tool that demons have right now is infernal energy farming. Now, in case you don't already know how this works, when a demon possesses a survivor, they actually gain infernal energy back every time they damage a different survivor. Now, what you can do with that is, let's say you down somebody. you can continue to shoot somebody who is bleeding out to continuously farm infernal energy. Now, this gets really dangerous for the survivors if that survivor is carrying a shotgun, because it seems like it's per pellet that hits or per shot that hits, not necessarily the amount of damage you're doing. So there's a few ways that you can go ahead and counter this as a survivor. So first things first, let's say I'm sitting here playing Kelly, right? And I hear this grumbly, grumbly, grumbly. Well, if for whatever reason this jump scare goes through me, my fear is just gonna skyrocket, right? So if that happens, what you should be doing is dropping your weapon, bam. This is specifically important on hunters because hunters do a lot of range damage. So if you have a hunter with a shotgun, drop the dang shotgun as soon as you are over your fear threshold. I also recommend investing in some fear for your pink F points and then also your skill tree. Another thing that you should be considering when you are playing is if you are not a hunter, don't carry a shotgun because you do almost no damage with the dang thing anyway. And then you are just this giant liability because let's say you get possessed as Henry and Henry's carrying a shotgun. Henry can just keep shooting a survivor on the ground, even after they die, by the way, and keep farming infernal energy, which allows him to stay inside of that possession for so long. And then not only does that keep the possession going longer so the possession can do more damage to the rest of the team, the longer a demon possesses a survivor, the more damage that survivor takes once they lose possession. So don't carry a shotgun if you are not a hunter. Something you can do to counter this if you are a survivor is throw something like a pistol on a leader, because a leader can have a really high fear threshold, so they're really hard to take down, and then that leader can stun lock the hunter with a pistol in case they get possessed. Okay? Okay. Something that you might see survivors doing right now is using a hunting rifle. And the reason why is the blue hunting rifle specifically, I'm assuming this is going to get patched because this is super busted. The blue hunting rifle has a really big balance bar damage, and it must just be like an oopsie on their end to go ahead and make it happen to have 255 balance bar damage, but it's only supposed to have like 51. So watch out if you see somebody with a hunting rifle. What you should be doing if you hear a hunting rifle going off is just charging that person and pouncing on them, and don't let them sit in the back and keep sniping at you, because they are going to take out your possessions over and over again with that blue hunting rifle. Pounce on them, don't let them get distance on you. Something that survivors can do at the end of the game is to park cards around the book, and what this does is it makes it so that it's just harder for the demon to go ahead and hit the book. Really what you got to do as a demon is don't let them drive a bunch of cars down to the dark ones. If you just get in their way and possess a lot on the way, chances are they're not going to drive a bunch of cars down. So just make sure you're constantly picking at them as they're trying to make their way down to the dark ones. And the main reason you would go ahead and engage in car blocking is to make it so that the demon has to chase you around and you can try to waste their time. The strategy is specifically good if you have a hunter on the team, because the hunter can dodge and dodge and dodge and dodge, right? So this puts pressure on the demon to attack survivors rather than attack the book. So this is all I have for you today. There's actually some more things I do want to cover, like exorcism dodging. I'm wondering if that's possible for the demon to dodge a blue exorcism. And I'm also curious about, I think there's a way to insta-kill a survivor after they are in the process of being revived with something like a war cry from a necromancer. But for now, this is all we have today. I hope you're able to learn a few things. Let me know if you guys have any more tips down in the description down below. If there's anything in here that you don't agree with as a tactic, I'm sorry, but it's in the game right now. And my thoughts on this is I want to teach people what's going on so they can avoid putting themselves in bad situations, and so that they know how to deal with things that the other side is doing. We stream just about every single night on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. Link is in the description and also the top comment. And if you learned anything from this video and you want to stay tuned for any more tips that may come up or any coverage with the new DLC that's coming out, please consider subscribing down below. And with that, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video around here.